Welcome to the evening news on SVG Television for Thursday, February 26th. I'm Jimmy Prince for the details. When Parliament meets on Tuesday next week, Opposition MP for the Southern Grenadines, Terence Olivier, will be seeking further clarity as to the reasons for the number of school dropouts across the country. In a question to the Education Minister, Olivier wants to know whether a study will be conducted nationally to ascertain the reasons for school dropouts, the spatial distribution of school dropouts, and to identify the most vulnerable students in the country that are susceptible to dropping out of school. He is also seeking an answer from the Minister as to whether the documentation of the findings of such a study will be used to put measures or strategies in place to assist in the improvement of students' lives to help curb school dropouts. In his contribution to the 2015 budget debate, that's last month, Olivier pointed out that statistics show that from 2009-2010 to 2013 academic years, 1,296 students dropped out at various levels from secondary schools here. There are 21 other questions on the order paper from the opposition, which include matters surrounding the Argyle International Airport, Vinlec, Clico, Petra, among others. 7 bills will also receive their first readings at Tuesday's session of Parliament, which is expected to begin at 10 a.m. Well, a strong call has been made for the authorities here to lobby for absolutely no reduction in the total headcount of staff following the merger of Columbus Flow and the Cable and Wireless Communications line. Business Representative Stephen Joachim spoke strongly in favor of protecting local employment at a public consultation held earlier this week at the Methodist Church Hall, looking at implications of the merger for consumers. Joachim says St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the rest of the region must seek to get the best out of the merger, since such move will often lead to reduced competition in the current market.
Reduced competition generally means higher prices, reduced services, and lower quality of those services. As I said earlier, I'm a capitalist at heart, but I also believe that it's critical that governments successfully regulate the corporate sector and be especially vigilant in the areas of monopolies, duopolies, and other areas where competition is restricted, as in our cell phone market and public utilities. The Prime Minister has referred to his concerns over reduced competition in regard to the internet specifically. He's also said that we have laws to address these types of situations. Laws are only as good as their enforcement, and the critical role of the regulator is clear. From my viewpoint, I believe that the approval of the merger should be granted because I don't think we will have any choice. But that such approval must be subject to certain specific and quite stringent conditions. Some of the conditions that I would suggest at a minimum should include looking at the serious regulation of prices and internet access and access levels on internet services. Basically, a monopoly must be closely regulated in the areas where there is no or limited competition. I suggest at a minimum that we consider a price freeze for internet without regulatory approval for a minimum period of time, or until the level of competition rises to some minimal acceptable level. And I think that will happen more quickly than we think, given the rapid advancements of technology.
Joachim says he is deeply concerned about what he describes as a trend to continually reduce local staff and the impact the increased unemployment will have on St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Approval must be conditional, or should be, in my view, conditional upon no staff reductions in headcount of the current two entities combined. I know we probably can't enforce that, but we've got to put some moral suasion on these companies, because that is going to happen. I heard the gentleman, my friend Chris, get up there and say what he said. That I will debate any day. That's simply not true. And as a business person, from a business viewpoint, we do a lot of work with Lime, and I can certainly attest to the decline in the service levels provided by Lime. You simply cannot provide the same level of service when you continually cut staff. It's not going, it simply can't happen, and we shouldn't fool ourselves about that. All right? I think the other thing that's really important is the government somehow has to ensure that there are laws and regulations that make it easy for new entrants to enter the market. You know, as easy as possible for people to come in and compete with these people.
A symposium was held earlier today to help further enhance the composition and the performance of skills of young Calypsonians at primary and secondary schools across the country. The symposium, held at the Peace Memorial Hall, was organized by the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the Carnival Development Corporation and the SVG Calypsonians Association. Education Officer Marla Nanton says the activity was designed to equip teachers and students with basic tools for effective sound writing that should be effective songwriting and performance.
And I've intentionally said songwriting and performance rather than calypso and soca writing and performance, because although today's focus will be on the writing and performance of calypso and soca, there is so much to be learned about general songwriting and about performance of any kind. This symposium will also expose you to the artistic industry, specifically to the music business. From the Ministry of Education, we've made the effort to pull together teachers and students who are generally interested or already involved in music or the performing arts, as well as those interested or already involved in songwriting. And as I'm sure you are aware, the writing component and the actual delivery of a song, be it calypso, soca, or else, are fundamental to the overall artistic performance of any artist.
Nanton says the session includes a combination of both theoretical and practical activities.
I encourage you all to be as open-minded as possible to see how we can collectively improve the standard of songwriting, especially at the junior level. I want to encourage the teachers specifically to think about the connection of song composition to language arts and other areas, other areas of the curriculum, and the ways in which you can use the composition of calypso and soca at the classroom level. The CPEA, the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, which has replaced the Common Entrance, for example, gives an opportunity to grade 6 students to present their aspects of their work in song. It is our hope that this symposium would boost your interest to participate in this year's junior calypso and soca competitions, and we hope that it enhances the quality of our students' vocal performance and stagecraft.
Meanwhile, Secretary of the SVG Calypsonians Association, Aubrey Burgin, says his association is always willing to be a part of activities that will lead to the general development of the art form.
It always well for us when we see the youths here, because your artistic abilities are not just for any particular genre of music, whether it be calypso, soca, or otherwise, but it helps in the development of the language, the spoken language and also the written language. And it also assists the individual to think outside of the box and also to develop in a meaningful way as we transcend in that development process of the individual, of the institution, and of the particular art form.
And the development officer of the Carnival Development Corporation, Oneka told the gathering that the CDC is committed towards the development of the junior calypso product and has already commenced discussions on improving the calypso competition.
We have looked at issues, review and discussion, that is. We have looked at issues in relation to the programming, in relation to increasing the patronage at the shows, in relation to increasing the participants at the preliminaries, and therefore getting a good pick for the finals. And we have also looked at the incentives for the schools, well, the winning schools, that is, and we're going to make every effort to look for our incentives so that the schools could feel like they have received something for sending their participants, and the general overall entertainment value of the junior calypso competition.
When we come back, we'll hear from the family of the Lago Heights youth from the dead on the Mairo Beach. Stay with us for more. The family of Devon Hanson of Lago Heights are trying to get answers as to how he met his death. The body of the 20-year-old was washed ashore yesterday morning at Salt Whistle Bay in Mairo. According to police, on Sunday, February 22nd, about 2:24 p.m., the Coast Guard received a report of a missing person in the Canash Bay area of Mairo. Information received is that 3 men attempted to swim ashore at Canash Bay. 2 of them made it safely to shore and 1 went missing. In an interview with SVG Television News earlier today, Hanson's mother, Petra, says she would like to know exactly how her son met his death.
How can I wrong side the story, and I am not getting the facts. And I really like some justice for my son. Because he is an easygoing child. He never troubled nobody. He used to go and see about his little pig. Everyone, the little children, them up, they call him Santana. And he never get in trouble with anyone. He never like fighting us. He get in one little incident, but he was on his right side. But he was an easygoing person, and he never like trouble people, and he was more on the jokey side. What I can't understand, when the accident happened, why they didn't call and say, like, if he jumped off the boat or something, why I have to get such a story to say Coast Guard running them down and them in the boat? The
stepfather, Wendell Simmons, also reiterated the need to get the truth about his death.
There's some saying that, but it's only God knows. And the two persons who they have locked up, the suspect and him, we went with, right? Which is the uncle and our other friend of his own. And them is saying a whole heap of things different than we happen. At least if you go somewhere and you jump, you understand? And it's an accident. You either call the police station or you call for some help or the other. Them didn't call nothing.
Neighbour Annette Patterson remembers Hanson as a mannerly young man who was always helpful.
There's something tell me no, don't. Understand? So the night when I came home now, I lie down, whatever, and thing, and there's something just bothering me in the house, and that I can't even sleep or anything. So I get up and I start to clean the place, and then I take down my whole kitchen, wash the ways, wash everything, whatever, and there's something, glass start to break. After I finished, I went in the bedroom. I was cleaning my bedroom, and I have a bottle of cod liver, and it just stopped and up my hand and broke. So I said something wrong somewhere.
In other news, Chairperson of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Cannabis Revival Committee, the CRC, that's Junior Spirit Cottle, will be representing the Caribbean at the Informal Drug Policy Forum to be held in Puerto Rico in April. In an interview with SVG Television News, Cottle said that he was selected based on his work in lobbying for the decriminalization of marijuana to be used for alternative livelihood as well as medical purposes. Cottle said that his selection was also based on his attendance at the first Global Forum of Producers of Cannabis, Opium, Poppy and Coca in Barcelona, Spain in 2009. He explained that a second forum is being planned for 2016 and the intention is to influence the United Nations to relax its policies on marijuana in a way that will be beneficial.
Get the involvement of civic society representative at the highest level. So at that 2009 meeting, three persons were appointed to attend the United Nations Special Assembly and Drugs meeting, which was in New York of that year. At that time, a political declaration was done, but we weren't very successful to convince the United Nations to change its drug policy. Now, in 2016, there's going to be a second meeting of the United Nations Special Assembly on Drugs. And maybe that meeting might have been Puerto Rico or in the United States. But towards preparing for that meeting, I've been invited to attend a meeting in Puerto Rico on informal drug policy dialogue.
Cottle said that he is proud to represent the people of the Caribbean as other countries are adjusting their policies as it relates to the use of the cannabis, noting there would be tremendous advantages economically as well as medically from the product.
I feel elated, but it's not just a victory for me, it's not just a victory for the ganja producers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a victory for the Caribbean. So I'm happy to be there, I'm happy to go there, I'm happy to represent the region, and I'm more happy to represent the world.
Some news from the courts now. Anthony John, a 31-year-old labourer of London Sandy Bay, has been arrested and charged with attempted murder on the lives of Zemo Hoyt, 23, and Desron Thomas, 17, both of the same address. Hoyt was shot at the back of his head, while Thomas received gunshot wounds to his face and chest. John has been remanded in custody. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Stapleton, a 20-year-old labourer of Bowley, was this morning ordered to pay compensation of $1,100 to Karen Roberts by April 27, 2015. In default, he will face a 1-month jail term. Stapleton was also bonded to keep the peace for 1 year in the sum of $1,500. If he breaches the bond, the sum becomes payable immediately, or a 3-month jail term will be imposed. The order was handed down by acting senior magistrate Carla James at the Kingston Magistrates Court when Stapleton pleaded guilty to the theft of one 10-carat gold chain valued at $1,000 and $100 in cash, the property of Roberts, a retired social worker of the same address.